while we go into the workshop, these are the modalities. So we will have several discussions. It should be as interactive as possible. And at the end of the day, we'll be entertaining questions or treating questions that our participants write in the chat box. So by the grace of God, my name is Bamidele Ola, and hosting us live here from Canada. And we have the men of God that God has assigned. These are not just ministers of the gospel. They are also professionally experienced in what they do. And then God has also given them the knowledge to be able to share with us some of the experiences so that we can learn and be what God wants us to be and attain excellence in film directing and cinematography. As we all know, these are two important parts of film production. If directing is bad, if cinematography is bad, there is actually nothing we are doing. Okay. So by the grace of God, I'm supposed to be joined by my co-host from Ireland, but she is currently not available. So as soon as she is available, she can just jump in. So without much ado, it's a privilege to introduce to you our guest for today. The first and foremost on the list, even as we see on our workshop flyer, is no other person than, I call him Daddy Evan Jarrett, because I started watching him when I was a very, very young teenage boy. And I've seen God use him severally. And I've even read several people saying he's the acting mentor, you know. So for years now, God has used him in the Christian drama ministry, especially via Mount Zion, and is currently based in the US. He has his own very wonderful production. And some of them you might get to learn from his experiences today. So by the grace of God, the second facilitator on the flyer is Evangelist Shola Diaga. Evangelist Shola Diaga is also based in the US. He has taken permission to join us within the next 20 minutes because he has an emergency appointment he had to attend to, but he will be joining us within the next 20 minutes by the grace of God. He's also a prolific film producer, director, and cinematographer. And the last, not the least, is also well-known evangelist John Oguntu Ashe. More recently, many of us have seen him on in the movie series Abatua. We've seen him acting a very sensitive role of Folarin. What many people don't know is that he's also a director and cinematography, apart from being an outstanding actor. He has also directed several other movies like Bros, Enoch, etc., which he co-directed with Damilola Magbamiloye. So it's a privilege to have these great men of God here. And we also have our administrator, who is supervising this workshop, Evangelist Olubusola Ajayi from the United Kingdom. So Daddy Evan Jarrett, I want to say welcome to you. Evangelist John Oguntu Ashe, I want to say welcome to you. We do not have your video on for Evangelist John Oguntu Ashe, but I hope you can set that in.
So sir, he's saying that I'm not allowed to put on my video. I think it's on the host.
Oh, please, technical, kindly help us, please, so that our guests can turn on their videos. Oh, absolutely amazing. You are welcome, sir. Please, can you also, okay, yeah, you could unmute yourself. So you are welcome, sir. Daddy Evan Jarrett, you are welcome. Please, can you help me spotlight our facilitators? Thank you very much, Technica, for this amazing job you're doing for us. So without much ado, we'll quickly jump into what we have for today. And this is a shout out to those who are joining us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for finding your way here in this workshop. We trust God that we're going to learn a lot. So in the course of the discussion, just to keep the ball rolling, I will be asking some questions to our facilitators. And if you do have questions or a follow-up question on the previous question, you can always use the chat box. Please, technically, I believe the chat box is available for our people to use. So without taking much of our time, the theme for this workshop is attaining excellence in film directing and cinematography. So maybe I should start by way of setting the ball rolling. Let's ask, what is film directing? I think introduction should be the first thing we should know. What is film directing? For those who are wondering, what's all this film directing? What is cinematography? So let's put this question to Evangelist Evan Jarrett. Sir, from your own best definition, how would you define or describe film directing?
Praise the Lord. I want to thank God for this opportunity and privilege to be able to be part of this film festival workshop. It's such an honor, and I do not take it lightly. I want to thank the organizers for the great work that has been done, the packaging and putting of this workshop is no easy job. And I pray that the Lord will immensely bless you all and increase his grace upon your lives. Thank you, everyone, thus far. Now to film directing. Film directing goes way back to ages ago, several years ago. And when I teach people about directing, tell people about directing, film directing is like putting things together, all the resources to make the film come together. Hollywood states way back that at least over 300 professions come together to make a movie. That is international film standard. When we were in school, it was put at 254. Now, the film director is like a chef who gathers different ingredients to cook a meal for people to eat. Film directing is getting the right things in the right places, putting round pegs in round holes and letting them function. The director is supposed to gather all the resources from the pre-production stage to the production stage and even in the post-production stage. So just like the analogy of the chef, when a chef goes to the market, or let's say a cook, you know, you go to get your pepper, your salt, your rice, your spaghetti. You know the amount of what you need to cook a favorite dish. And you know the end product. So the director has the full picture. So he gets with the actors, the camera crew, the production design crew, the gaffers and all of them. So he is able to put all of them together. So in a nutshell, film directing is making sure that all the resources that are needed for the production to be at par and to make sure that those things are well done. And it comes with time, and it comes with arrangement, it comes with understanding. So directing of a movie is very important so that you do not have various people doing what they feel like doing. So the director harnesses all the talents, packages them, and puts them into one pot of stew and cook it and heat it, and goes through the various processes of pre-production, production, and post-production. I will give another analogy. If you want to paint an art, let's say you have, look at this background now. Let's assume it is being painted. You have several brushes painting it. So the director is a master artist. He has about all those people painting. He says, paint, put red here, put green here, put this there. And he does all this by harnessing all the talents. Simply put, that's what film directing is all about. Coordinating, getting the best, bringing out the best from each person, making sure that they are at their full potential to make the production worthwhile and to make it the best that it can be. In a nutshell, that's what film directing is all about.
Thank you very, very much, sir, for this wonderful, extensive, comprehensive analysis. So from what I deduct from what you said, sir, the film director is like the master chef. So it's like the master chef. He sees everything and then he knows how to combine the ingredients so that you can have a wonderful taste of meal. Thank you very much, sir, for that very, very informative introduction. It's still an introduction, and we are learning so much already. Thank you. So I really like that analogy of a book. All right, so let's take the second question. Since we know this is about film directing and cinematography, I'd like to put this question to Evangelist Oguntu Ashe. Sir, to the best of your, how you would like to describe it, how would you describe cinematography? And why is it important in film production?
All right. So I'd like to also say thank you to the organizers of Mozart International Film Festival and for the organizer of this particular room for being the privilege to be part of this international conference. Cinematography in itself, of course, cinematography is from the war. Cinema is from the war light. You know, is how light is seen. You know, so pictures on pictures. So I regard cinematography as in respect to filmmaking, you know, how pictures are being captured, you know. Of course, you know, film is a series of pictures and then become a motion picture. So in filmmaking, so it's a collection of those pictures that make a video, you know. So how they are being captured to tell a story. Anybody can hold a camera. Anybody can hold any given camera, whether a big camera or a small camera, and then begin to point at people and shoot at them. You know, in the western part of Nigeria, you know, there's something called Asaba filmmaking, and they say, name your passport size. That's when they want to say, give me a close, you know. So it is not just pointing cameras at objects or people or at an event to shoot. Now, it is telling a story with your camera. So cinematography is the one that puts the visual representation of the act into perspective. And then one funny thing, because quite a lot of people might play with cinematography, they think, okay, what are they doing? I can just do. You know, a cinematographer can take 10 pictures, like videos, shoot 10 videos, and they will mean different things. You know, so because you know we have different kind of shots in the first place, and then different shots meaning different things, and even the way the shots are being taken will determine the emotions, you know, the emotions, the mood of the particular scene. So cinematography itself is what brings the pictures into record, and how it's being brought to record is the art of motion picture filmmaking. So picture, right, which is cinema, cinematography. Okay. And then, you know, the DOP is the director of photography, is this guy behind the camera taking the pictures. So there is one rule about cinematography that says that in filmmaking, in directing, actually, of course, that has to do with cinematography. So it's that the cast, say that's why it's movie. He said that it's movie. Something must move, So it's not a stick picture. It's that the camera is moving or the cast is moving and all of that. So cinematography is a very key part of production because that's the one that records the events, that's the one that records the mood, the emotions, the pictures, So it's and that is important. Cinematography itself is important because it's one that records the event as how you want the audience to see it. Of course, the cinematographer must work directly with the lightman and also directly with the director. So the cinematographer must make the light person his friend, basically. So it's important.
Can I ask a question, sir?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, please. While we have this dialogue and people are watching from home, please expect that sometimes I might interject and then I might try to say some things. Probably our audience too would have questions. Please kindly help us put it in the chat. So from what you were saying, I try to, because this is a workshop, right?
Yes,
so we have different levels of understanding. We have people who are also professionals who are watching us. So some of these concepts they already understand. We have those who are, we can say, are moderate. They understand it faintly. And then we have those who probably do not even understand any of these concepts at all. So how do we marry, from what Daddy Jarrett said earlier, how do we marry cinematography and directing? I remember you also mentioned DOP, director of photography. So, and then we are talking about directing. So I'm hearing directing, director of photography, cinematography. Cinematography itself is an abstract, right? So what is the brain behind cinematography? Who handles it? Daddy Jara was saying there are more than 300 professions, right, in filmmaking. To be honest, I'm hearing that for the first time. That to have
it could be much more.
You should have more than 300 professionals. So it means it's not a child's play. That's what I realized. Okay, so how do we marry the concept of cinematography and directing in practical terms?
I think the bit confusing terminology there is director of photography and director. Now, a director of photography is the guy that directs the photography. Now, in Africa, because of limited resources, a director of photography handles camera. He tells them, take the camera there, take that shot, don't take that shot, put the light that way. I want the light to come from the back, I want a silhouette shot. So it's the guy that directs the photographers. In advanced countries, but the other photographer has a kind of monitor that tell the cinematographers what to do. But most time in Africa, the data photographer.
Sorry, sir. Who are the cinematographers? What do you mean by
cinematographer?
Those who handle the cameramen.
Yes, cameramen. Yes.
So the director of photography is the one who instructs them on how to shoot.
In advanced country, but in Nigeria, the director of photographer directs himself. So he tells himself what to do. So he said, so why is that photographer is that? He also directs the lightman in connection with the director. So he handles the camera by himself as he do this. So a director is the one at the biggest part of the chain. Like he's the guy that commands every other department. But he must work directly with director of photography, which is the camera person, because they work together. Because you have to tell story with your camera too. I don't know if I'm able to answer that.
Thank you very much. It's very clear, sir. So just to have the operationalization of this concept, the cinematography is about the camera handling, the shooting, and also has to do with the lighting. But the cameramen are the cinematographers, and they have a boss, in quote, someone who supervises them, who is called the director of photography. But above all these structures, we have the director who instructs not only the director of photography, but also other cast, like the actors, everything. Okay, so thank you very much. That's so explicit. Let's go to Daddy Jarrett. So I would like to ask, how has there been situations where probably there is a problem on set, God forbid, and then something needs to be resolved between the cinematographer, the director of photography, and the director. How do you normally handle such when conflict arises? Probably due to conflict of interest, because this may happen. This is not part, but just what happens because we have over 300 professionals.
Okay, can you hear me now? I guess
yes, sir, you are very
okay,
well.
Good. Yes, definitely, because people are different. Because people are different, you would always have different concepts and everything. And conflicts always happens at different levels. And take, for example, you have different levels of directors, especially in our community. You have people who just want to direct without basic knowledge and understanding of what exactly it entails. And you have some cinematographers or cameramen or whatever who are maybe upcoming or even experienced, and who desire that, hey, listen, I'm recording this, I'm trying to build a portfolio, I'm trying to build a career, and I'm trying to build a reel, and they want to insist on certain kinds of shots and things like that. But the truth of the matter is the director is like the captain of the ship. And whenever conflict occurs, the key way of solving it is through communication. Now, there's one thing which I did not emphasize on directing. The director is the leader of the pack, and leadership quality goes a long way in having the director achieve his purpose. Now, if I go back to the analogy I gave you about the director being a chef and the director being a master artist, he has several people who are painting for him, different brushes. Now, if the person painting green decides that he wants to splash green all over all the canvas, it's the director who will tell him the reason why green cannot be everywhere, that we want to have a little bit of blue and a little bit of yellow. To cut a long story short, to be able to resolve conflicts, not only with the cinematographer or on set, or even the actor, or even the costumier, the director have to have wisdom, skill, tact, diplomacy, and the fruit of the spirit. This comes through depth of preparation, depth of knowledge, and years of experience. But to avoid conflict on any set, it is always ideal and very important that a prep, what you call pre-production meetings are held. And what happens during pre-production meetings? The director explains his vision to the cinematographer, to all the crew members, and especially the cast. Because the cinematographer cannot shoot in limbo. He shoots cast and he records what the director tells him to record and what it goes with the script. So to resolve conflict and even challenges on set, the director must use wisdom, he must be humble, because he's the one who delivers the job. He's the one who is responsible for making sure the film makes it to the screen. So whatever he has to do to make sure that conflict is resolved, he has to. And what always causes problem in most cases, is a lot of ego, especially in, in, let me say, industry, whether Christian, film industry, secular, wherever, everything, politics, there's a lot of ego involved. So that's where you need to deal with the flesh. You need to ask God for mercy. You need to have wisdom and find and look for ways of resolving every conflict. And hey, they might have a very great, brilliant idea, but you just can't afford to do it. Or maybe time constraint also. You have to leave that location real quick, and you have, because if you don't do that, if you don't shoot that beat on that location and leave that location and get another location, go to another location that they're waiting for, the whole project will fail. So you need a lot of wisdom, you need a lot of tact, diplomacy, and above all, your pre-production will help you solving conflicts. Maybe I will explain pre-production later when we go ahead. Sir. I don't want to take time.
Thank you very much, sir, for that clarity. This is so great to know. So I will ask a follow-up question to that, sir. But before then, I want Evangelist Oguntu Ashe to quickly tell us something. From what we have seen so far, it seems to me as though the director is the boss of the whole production. Does the director have someone that he or she, because I suppose the director could be male or female, right? Does the director have someone that he or she submits to?
Yes, sir. So a director is like a king and kingmaker. You know, a kingmaker. Yeah, it's like a kingmaker makes a king and then become a subject of the king. So, but still, is called the executive producer. The executive producer, you know, is the person that owns the public, not all the cases, but most of the cases, owns the copyright and the financial power of that bankroll the project. So whether through the executive producer directly or through a producer, a director is employed. So you can say, okay, I do no longer want you on this project. So it seems to be the boss, but this is how it works. If a director is employed on a job, he takes up the leadership position and it becomes the king and make decision. And even to the executive producer tells him his vision and he finds a way to execute it. And so the executive producer has to believe him for him to have employed him. Of course, but if he shows to say, for a reason, personal, or for a certain, maybe division is not being accomplished, say, okay, oh, the director, you are hereby sacked. So he sacked, and that is it. So I think the person above the director is executive producer. And in some cases, if it's an indie movie, the producer can be above the director because that's the one that employs the director. Yeah. But the producer has different levels. There are co-producers, you know, there are independent producers, that are being employed by the executive producer to coordinate the project, probably to bring in all the crew members. So different layers. The kind of
So you mean we can see like the executive producer is like the CEO or is the owner of the business, is the owner of the project, but the director is like the contractor or the foreman, something like this.
Yes, so to say, yes. I think
wow.
Foreman is the best word.
All right, thank you so much. So let's go to Daddy Jared. So, sir, a follow-up question to what you said about pre-production, prep, so for short. So I want to believe that what that is orienting us to think about is the fact that before we go into production, there should be some preparations. And that sounds to me like some of the nuggets for having a successful film production. So I want to put it directly to you, sir. How would you, what do you think are the requirements or the ingredients to attain excellence in film directing? I will ask the other side of the question to Evangelist John Oguntu Ashe after your speech. So maybe we can summarize it in 30 minutes. So what do you think should be the criteria for attaining excellence in film directing. Then Evangelist Oguntuashe can tell us about attaining excellence in cinematography. Thank you, sir.
Now, let me just have a rider to what Evangelist John talked about. You know, the producer is the person who goes and looks for the money for the project. The director is handed over the artistic. It's like you want to build a house. You give somebody, so the architect and the builder is the director. That's it. So he tells you this is how we're going to. The architect has already drawn the place. I mean, the script writer like that. So, but the director packages it, everything, you know, and goes ahead with it. Now, what are the attributes? I mean, what do you need to get a good film project done? It's preparation, understanding, having each stage, especially the beginning, the preparation, right from the script. Make sure the script is well rounded. Make sure the scripting has been done properly, proofread of all mistakes, proper research has been done. The story is real. When I say real, I mean, you know, you don't just write what is inside your mind and that is not real. You know, you can't just write stories that are not believable. So at that stage, at the prep stage, because, you know, quite a number of things are done, a lot of locations are done in a hurry. They finish writing the script today, tomorrow, next week, they go on location, you want to quickly shoot it quick. Not understanding that our God is a God of excellence. Our God is a God I mean, he took time to create the heavens and the earth. You know, Jesus Christ took 30 years to develop his ministry. And he took time in understanding what his calling was. So as directors, you know, we need to take time in making sure that the script is right, making sure that all the necessary props, locations, actors, the casting is so key. That's why the director, you need to have a good pre-production stage. Don't wait until you get to set before you start prepping your actors. Try to have phone call meetings with them, Zoom meetings, have rehearsals, tell them your vision, tell them how to play certain roles, what you expect from them, not that you acted for it. Tell them what you expect. And also, you know, you must have pre-production meetings. You can do it on Zoom, you all don't have to meet, whatever. I mean, but just make sure that you have been able to communicate effectively. Know what your budget is. Know what is available. Know what is not available. Then you can now start to organize and use creativity to get what you don't have and make it work. So in a nutshell, the director must be on top of his game to be able to prep every cast, crew member, includes director of photography, costumier, transport, and all those things, the production manager and all those things. The director has to supervise them effectively to get a great kind of project.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I was going to ask whether, I know you've answered it within your responses. So what happens if things does not actually go as expected? To what level should a director be flexible?
Yes, actually, that is the whole essence of it, the flexibility and creativity. Because in most cases, a director is supposed to be a master of an art. A director is the one who should have gone beyond every other person. You know, The director has to do more work than every other person on that set. That's it. You are the boss. You are the one who has the picture. So, I mean, sometimes I direct, I know the actor's lines even more than that. I say, no. Without looking at the script, say, no, that's not it. You're supposed to say like that. You understand what I'm saying? So the director, you must have knowledge of lighting, camera, lenses, know what you know. So it comes with experience. It's not that you leave film school today, tomorrow you say, I'm director. Learn. A director has to understudy, learn through several things, take time to understand everything so that when you are talking to your actors, you understand what they are going through. So you've been in front of the camera. It's not every director that's an actor anyway. It's not every director, but at least you have a knowledge and understanding of every bit of the process. So you are able to empathize and also suggest and help in building that. So when things don't go the way you planned it, you have to be able to think on your feet. You have to be able to ask God for wisdom and creativity to help you adapt. Take, for example, you want to shoot in a restaurant or you want to shoot in an airport. You don't have the airport available. So what are you going to do? You want to shoot in a train station, the train station is not available. So you have to think of how you are going to do it, And you can either do it yourself or you gather a team and you brainstorm there and then, and you always move on. The thing is, do not let anything hold you down. You have the liberty and the license to be flexible and be creative in as much as it doesn't affect the major message of the project.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I can see there are some questions in the chat, but so I will be taking the questions in a few minutes. So if you have more questions, please, you can also put them in the chat. By the grace of God, we'll be taking the questions. So let's go to Evangelist Oguntuashe. So what do you think, just to summarize from my own understanding, please, you are also permitted to use the chat box to write some of your take-homes as our facilitators are giving us points. So I see that it's important to be prepared before you go into film production. And before you go into film production, for the director should be the master of the game. He should be versed. He should know the script. He should know the lines. He should know what he needs for that production to be ready. It's like counting the cost, like Jesus told us in the parable. Who wants to build a house without first counting the cost? So what do I have? What are those things I do not have? So you should weigh both what you have and what you don't have, your strengths and weaknesses. And then you should also be flexible. And then I also learned something from what he said. Sometimes you do not have monopoly of knowledge, as John Donne said, right? You don't have a monopoly of knowledge. So you might need to even call people and your crew, tell them what the problem is and get some advice or suggestions from them. So that is awesome. All right, Evangelist Oguntuashe. Thank you very much, sir, Evangelist Janet. Evangelist Oguntuashe, how do you think we can attain excellence in cinematography? I know there are many expensive cameras, etc., but how do we attain excellence in cinematography? Thank you.
Okay, so I think I don't know how to do this. I've not greet my guardian, Evangelist Jared. EJ Baba. Those are good that we saw as we grow up and then inspires us a lot to become the director that we are today. We are still growing. Well done, sir. And then to put it on a note, you see, that's why the director is like a leader, he's like a father, on set. That's what I would like to say about all my time. I'm saying this to say that after asking this question now, I am not a director of photography. I'm not a cinematographer. I am a director. But I'm able to answer a few of these questions about cinematography because a director must know about everything, including makeup, including light, sound, camera. Of course, you don't have to be able to do them, but having an understanding, we're able to save yourself when you're a third corner. like we are now. So the basic way to attain excellence in cinematography is understanding your camera and seeing the right picture. Understanding your camera and seeing the right picture. Now, I've seen people that shot, in fact, several times in gospel or outside of the gospel, that have access to big cameras. Someone shot so many years ago that even when people like, I've never have access to red camera, ARRI camera. Somebody shot with a red. I think it was even red Gemini or red Epic or so one big camera like that. But then the person was done as a cinematographer. Like, this picture, I can shoot. I don't know that if I'm directing a movie, we can get a better picture even with 60D or Mark III than this camera. And it's like I'm talking about a camera that is worth about 20 million and a camera that is worth less than 500,000 or 600,000. Now, so understand your camera will help you. Camera generally will help you to know what are the right aspects or the things you need to put together to be able to get a good picture. Of course, the cinematographer cannot do without the light guy, because the light that creates the picture that the cinematographers put in perspective. So that's one part. The other part, which is also very key, is making an engaging picture. If for you to want to keep people glued to the camera, we know that we talk about movie cannot be dull, movie has to be, of course, someone said that there's no rule in filmmaking, but the cardinal error, and the error is dullness. And so who bring activity to picture rather than the director and the director of photography and the cinematographer. So, of course, take for instance, somebody is talking and the camera is just on his face, like this, the way I am, like this, just there like this, and he's talking. And someone else come and say, okay, I'm going to take the shot from this area. You are seeing his profile, and then on the same shot, he's taking from another, maybe a variation shot. That we are seeing something is focused and focusing, or probably engaging with some element on set. So an engaging and interactive shot makes a very good picture. Of course, with the lights. You can play with lights. Usually we just finish our movie, Underlog. So at the point as we were shooting, as I said, we have two director of photographers. So one did it halfway and the other person joined. And I was like, okay, from the back, and I'm like, okay, can you take off the light off this guy's face from this place? And I'm seeing this. Seeing that picture alone, you are scared that, this guy must be a dangerous man. And I can swear throw the light upon you, you just light up and you are seeing and say, I'm dangerous. No. So having making an excellence in photography is having a very creative lighting, that working with the light guy, and having an engaging and interactive. Because, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir. You just
So it is very key to have that engaging and interactive shot. And then other part of it is also telling a story with your camera. Now people do that, okay, I'm just going to shoot. You're not just going to shoot. You have to tell a story. There's something called dot angle. There's some psychological shot where the camera is turned upside down. So those things is helping the vision of the writer, the vision of the producer, and in the long run, working with the director to achieve the vision that the story want to portray. So you must be able to tell a story with your camera.
Wow.
So, and that is key. Yeah, thank you. I'm so more like to thank you so with the camera later. But as I said, I'm not a cinematographer. I'm a director. Thank you, sir.
Like Daddy Jared said, a director should be versatile, schooled in every grace, like Richard Curry. All right, so there is something when you were talking about lighting, I just remember there was this movie series I was watching. It was produced in Nigeria, and I think it's a family series produced by one of our brothers. So there were two families. There's one family of Baba Jesha, and there's one other family of one very wealthy family. So I discovered that whenever they wanted to show the rich family, the lights were usually very bright. Everywhere is bright. The walls are painted white. You know, everything is sparkling. But immediately they want to cast to the other family, they show it very dark. And so it's like they associate darkness with poverty and associate brightness with wealth. You know, I saw that trick. I was like, wow, is this what they are trying to show? Even if it's the same place, right? So I think lightning is very important. Please, our participants, we will be taking your questions in the next, let's say, 5-10 minutes. That is wonderful. Thank you so much for the responses. And I believe you are learning so much like I am. So if you have things you have learned and you want to just spotlight it, please kindly put it in the chat. We'll be willing to read it. So let's ask this question. I know now we want to talk about the challenges in film production and directing. But before then, I'm saying that, you know, recently someone came to his YouTube page and he said he was going to shut down his channel. This guy had more than 100,000 subscribers, and he was going to shut it down because he's a gospel artist who was singing. So I tried to encourage him not to get discouraged. And his reasons was the fact that it became very popular during the COVID-19 lockdowns. So now it's like the level of attention or the span, the viewership on his channel has sharply declined. So that got him discouraged. And it was like people are tilting towards short movies these days. They just want a movie they can see like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and they move. So he discovered that the attention span on his YouTube videos were sharply declining. So from what he was saying is like somehow the future of movie or the future of drama may be partly short movies. What is going to be the relevance of film directing, elaborate film directing, having over 300 professionals or more than that, when if the film production or the duration or the span of movies eventually trims down to, let's say, like 1 minute or 2 minutes or 30 seconds. So, sir, I want Daddy Jare to please respond to that. Then we'll talk to Evangelist Oguntuashe. Looking forward, sir.
Yeah,
What do you
that's
think?
a very good question. You have to understand the world we are living in. The world we are living in is becoming a global village. Everything is going fast. I'm sure when you were growing up, you didn't have fast foods going around. When I say fast food, you didn't have people doing fast food and all that thing. When you went to school, you probably wrote on a blackboard or a slate. The child going to school now is writing on iPad and on tab. So things are evolving. Things are moving. So there's a lot of, with AI and everything now, there's a lot of innovation coming in. Like we said, we had quite a number of people involved in film production. A lot of it has been collapsed now. Hollywood went on strike a few months ago because some guilds, even Actors Guild, they say, that they're going to be out of work because AI might be able to do a lot of their jobs. So that calls on us to be very creative at what we do. And the master of creativity is the Holy Spirit. The truth of the matter is, people are getting busier and busier every day. People are looking for various options. So we need to be more creative. When you go to fish, I don't know whether anybody has gone for fishing before. If you go and fish, you don't give the fish biscuit. You don't give the fish what you eat. You give the fish what it likes and you put a hook there. he baked so that he comes and he looks at what he likes. You know, you won't give the fish bread or something like that. You look at what the fish wants to eat. You give him worms, what he wants to eat, and you hook him. So therefore, we in gospel movie making, if it is short movies that people want to, we need to create a standard, and you can have a full-length movie cut into 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 3 minutes. It's still the same technology. Even when you are shooting, let me tell you this. It will interest you to know that a lot of 1 minute commercials that are being done on TVs cost even much more than movies. Because the glamour, the glitz of the commercial 1 minute, 60 seconds commercial, they even pay more for it than some of our videos that we do. So it goes a long way to show that the quality and the intensity of whatever we are doing is what matters a lot. And we just need to be creative about it. Like John was saying, you have people who collapse various positions. You know, the DOP collapses to lighting man and everything. But the end is the result of the game. The result is the name of the game. The result you get. So we need to be very creative about what is going on in this end time and the development, and we need to be result-oriented so that we are able to deliver a good result.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. That is well taken. We must be creative because Jesus, our Lord, said, this should be Luke chapter 16. The Bible says he said, he praised the unjust, or is it commended? Not recommended, but commended.
Yeah.
He commended the unjust steward because he was he was crafty. And he said the children of this world are wiser in their own generation than the children of light. So I remember that I watched a 5-minute clip. And before I knew it, I watched like almost 20 minutes of that clip. It was a story. And the man made it in like 7 parts. So you watch like 10, like, let's say like 20 seconds, you know, something that actually happened real. A policeman was arresting someone and he put it there. The person was a police general or something like this, or a police commander, whatever their offices, maybe US or UK. So the policeman was stopping him and harassing him, not knowing the office that this person was his boss. So then, you know, I was interested. I wanted to say, okay, when he eventually discovered that this is his boss, how did he react? Do you know that we could not find that until we got to part 6? So he would just tell you, if you want to see part 4, part 3. And I was following like that till I got to the end. And of course, this is wrong. But when I got to the end, I discovered that the guy was not even a police general as he was proclaimed to be. It was just a bait. Because we want to follow story. We want to see the end. We want justice to prevail in the end of the day. We want the wicked to be silenced. The Bible says the wicked shall be silenced in darkness. So creativity, I think that was a creative one. So the Lord will help us in Jesus' name. Evangelist John Oguntuasha, I think this also has strongly to do with cinematography. If we are going to watch 30 seconds movie, gospel movie, impactful 1 minute, 3 minutes, that is life-changing, then the camera should be on top of his game. We cannot hear you, sir. Sir, you are muted, sir.
I can't hear the question. Can you repeat it? I didn't hear
so the question is, if the future of movies is going to be short movies rather than feature-length movies. So if we're going to be having 3 minutes movie, 4 minutes, or even 30 seconds, then I think the cinematographer has to be on top of his game. What do you think? How do you think cinematographers will update themselves towards this trend that we are going into?
Now, just as Evangelist said, about things going snappy, going haste. I think I've taught that for several years on short films, but I must also say here that, social media is a place for the short videos and short clips, you know, but there will always be a place for a feature-length movie, for the big pictures, for the big screens, But of course, now that YouTube, the Instagram, and even Netflix, all these people are giving us shorts, they believe that we want something short. What we should go to do as directors, cinematographer, and all filmmakers is to know the habit or master the habit of engagement. I've mentioned this before. Engagement is key. The attention lifespan on YouTube is just 80 seconds. If by 80 seconds you are unable to tell somebody why the person should continue to watch that movie, you lost the audience, because there are over 1 million content dropping on even YouTube every minute. And on Instagram and Facebook, don't even mention. There's so many content that people that are very engaging that we have not even seen. If you're not making what's not engaging, then you're out of the race. So basically, as a cinematographer, as a director, what you should do is to make sure that you engage them. And that's why we talk about entertainment value. Entertainment value must be very strong. Whether it's coming in the area of action, or in terms of thrilling, or suspense, or comedy, or humor, or something out of the world virtual. And that's what is happening in Nigeria right now. If you look at all the big movies, the Lisa B, the Jagudagun, the Out of God, all those fighting sequences, action sequences, it keeps people engaged. So that engagement is key. How do you know best to engage? Is it through the dialogue, through the costumes, through the set and props, through the camera works, through the action sequences, through the suspense? Just engage. Just as George said, what the person did was not right. It's a storytelling. He just told you, and that's why you will see on YouTube. Almost everybody here understand that. They say, "I want to tell you 7 reasons how you can be a billionaire in 24 hours." Number 7 is the most important. And the number 7 is in the same video. You want to see the steps. So you're trying to get to number 7 before you see it's an engagement. So we tell you, in this video, I'll be able to tell you why Toyota cars are better than Honda cars. And so he has given you his objective from the beginning. And so you have seen that. And then you now want to watch to see how. You see that video, they're saying, oh, in this video, I'll be giving you some tips on, or just go to the end of the video or middle of the video, cut a clip that's very, very engaging, straight for bam. And then that'll tell you how it started. Those are the engagement we are talking about. So as a cinematographer, whoever is making movies, even makeup, all of us together as a team must know how to keep the audience glued to the screen, because they are busy. So someone's going to give you 1 hour of their time, even 30 minutes of their time, or even 10 minutes of their time, or 5 minutes of their time. They must make sure it's worth it. Is it that you sit them down? Someone say, there's a principle I used to talk about when I'm talking about directing. It's hold the audience by the throat. But by the time you cannot be, somebody wants a film that you can pause, that you can remove, you can play later, go back to Netflix to watch. You are seated, you are feeling pressed, you cannot go. That is the power of storytelling and engagement. So engagement is key. Engage, and engage. Yeah.
Thank you very, very, very much, Evangelist John Oguntuashe. Let's quickly take some of our participants' questions in the chat box. So we have a question from Marie A. And this question is, so how are you able to maintain such a great level of professionalism despite the challenges around Christian filmmaking? This person is wondering how, by the grace of God, you have been in your production. I know, Daddy Jared, please. I know you've talked to us freely. Also, please feel free to also talk to us about your ministry, because that is part of what this MZIIF ICFF is all about. I can see Evangelist John Oguntuashe is putting Second Touch, so you can find Second Touch. I believe that's the name of your movie on YouTube. Second Touch.
John Oguntuashe. my name and the second touch together. Yeah.
John Oguntuashe Second Touch. You can find his channel on YouTube by the grace of God and subscribe there. So I want Adejare to answer this question. How are you able to maintain such a great level of professionalism despite the challenges around Christian film making? And that is a very fantastic question.
First of all, when you want to start a journey, you have to count the cost. And you have to, first of all, have a mindset. It's a mindset of, you should have the right kind of mindset. Like I started with, the God we are serving is a God of excellence. It's a God of, it's a God of diligence. And he requires our very best. David said, I will not give anything to my God that does not cost me. You have to take mediocrity out of your mindset and your thinking. And you go for excellence. And determine that you are going to give your God the best. First of all, you have to upgrade yourself, training. You have to do a lot of research. Find a way of doing things better. Being cost effective. Asking the Holy Spirit to show you and give you ideas in which you can circumvent some cost if need be. Building relationships. Having a lot of associations and collaborations just to get to where you are going. You know, because it's such a very wide thing to talk about. You know, you want to use a very big set for your project. Maybe you have to rent a location for so much amount of money, but you pray, you ask God to help you, and you see someone who knows someone who can get it for you for next to nothing or free of charge. Take, for example, you want to use a limousine. Maybe they are renting it for 200,000, 500,000 naira, whatever it is. But you just know someone who says, okay, just buy fuel and go and use it. So the thing is, your mindset is the first thing. It's the mindset, you see, because that's where God can, you see, that's where you have to use faith. When you renew your mind, then you will continue going for excellence and not mediocrity. That is a very key thing which I have discovered. And once you have that mindset and you pray and you trust God, he makes the way and he opens doors. That is what I've observed for all projects I've handled, be it with my projects, be it with Mount Zion, be it with any TKP, with any other projects we've done. It's just, take for example, we've needed some Caucasian casts where we are. They say, hey, we need a white person to play doctor. We need a white person to play this role. You know, there are different ways you can get them. You can either do auditions, you can do different things, you can pay them, but you will get, once you decide you want to get something done, and you look around and you ask the Holy Spirit, he will lead you to certain people and resources to get it done.
Wow, thank you very, very, very much, sir. Please, for those who probably just, you can check the chat box. We try to put some summary of some of the things that has been said, so you can check the chat box. If you have questions, please put them in the chat box. That is why we are here. So let's take another question from the chat box. My question is that if you write a short story, does that mean you do not have a say over that story? I think this question is coming from the fact that we talked about the director being in charge, you know, like the architect is the chef, he can decide to cut and cut. Is it that you do not have a say if you write a story? Please, any of our facilitators are free to respond to that.
Okay, so let me drop my thought on that. So people, you know, especially in the gospel arena, someone, maybe a producer or a writer will write a story and he said, that is how God gave it to me. You know, in Yoruba, they say, what you do. So, you know, that is where the place of dialogue and discussion, pre-production meetings, planning stage comes to go. That's why it's so needed. When at the point where before the production, you have to say, okay, this is your story. This is my take on the story. And let's drop mind. And then there's someone will say, oh, no, I don't want it that way. I don't want it. For me, this is my passport, this is my take on it. Definitely most time I try to understand where, with a little bit of experience I have, where the producer is coming from. There's something called a director's idea. Director's idea is when a director needs to take the story to the next level. That is your job. You don't give you a script and it's not the script to the person the way it's given to you. Then what have you done? Then at the end of the day, let us not be director on set. So I try to take that story to the next level. But then I want to discuss it. This is what I feel about this particular story, this part. And most of the time, it's always making it better. But when the producer is saying, no, don't touch anything, just do it like that. That's how Holy Spirit gave to him. I always say, maybe we should employ Holy Spirit to help us to direct it. So in that case, I have to hands off. That's okay. If you don't want this to be whatever, but if the person is making a lot of sense, why not? Why do you want to change it? But sometimes you see there have been issues on doctrines. There have been issues where someone say, okay, this person is so because of my church. The person will be playing prostitute. He will not wear trousers. He will not use earring. He will see you stubborn. What is unbelievable? A story was believable and relatable. And there are so many factors, in fact, unimaginable things that people will say based on their faith or based on their personal conviction or the church story revelation. So, and I tell them, God has never, ever give a finished product. What God does is to give a raw material. When this table we are looking at right now came as a wood, someone furnished it to be like this. You know, the cars are looking at, and the iron was from certain resources. Everything in this life, God never gave only man was, even myself, still needs a lot of brain refinery and something to do to the head, but they have to be complete very well. You know, so you cannot say, okay, the way they brought it. So what do you need? What do you need? Come again? Take the story and let's share it as facts now. So that is why you have a say on it, but there should be deliberation. And so, but when you look as if you are not aligning, then the director should leave the job.
So thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I remember as a child when I joined the drama ministry, that when you are given a script, you believe you've gone to pray and God has given you a script, and then you come for rehearsals, as we used to call it. So you tell the brethren, and then be flexible, because you might think it's the best, it's the most. Some people may bring ideas during you understand, that even it will now sharpen, you will now see this is exactly where God is taking you to. So flexibility is important. And from what Evangelist John has said, is not that you do not have a say. I would like Daddy Jared to respond, but I want to add another question, which is like a follow-up. This is another person asking a question, but it's relatable to that first question. He's saying, as a director, how would you, this Lanu, I believe Sister Lanu or Brother Lanu, as a director, how do you handle a situation where a producer wants you to direct a sequel that you think is really unnecessary? The producer wants it, I believe the executive producer, this person means now, and you as a director, you think is really unnecessary. The original film was good enough as it is and should be left alone. What do you think the director should do if there is a clash of interest between the director and the and the producer. And the third question there will go to the second question because the third one is relatable. How do you handle a situation where the producer doubles as the writer is the producer, and is upset that you as a director are changing some things? Are there preemptive measures to avoid this situation? Over to you, Daddy Jarrett. Yes,
I think Evangelist John had even dealt with that. That's why that's why we, in a setting and a community, we need to learn how to do things properly. We think that when you just write the scripts, the next week, go ahead, go to location, call people together, and start shooting. That is not a good way to do things. Always take time and objective. You see, because even when you write, any good writer, you remove yourself from the story and look at it critically and objectively. And you wait and you look at it. Because it's something that always happens, is mainly, just as like John was saying, say, the Holy Spirit gives me this, I want to do this. Like, you understand? Look, stop telling lies on the Holy Spirit, please. We should, people have their innermost ambitions. They have what they want to do, and they go ahead and want to present it out. Fine. But whoever is the director, you have two options. You dialogue. And it's not by force that you should be on every project. If you can be, rather than get into conflict, rather than begin to have hidden bad belly, and begin to have...
Daddy, which one is bad belly?
I will explain
I'm in Canada. I don't understand bad belly.
rather start keeping offense,
okay.
And being hot inside, and going ahead with the project and grumbling, you won't get any blessing from God from it, and it is the work of God. So you can always shake hands and say, sorry, we can't do this, and it will be fine. You understand? So it's not every project that you must get involved in. There are some projects that are for you, some projects are not for you. You have to have the spirit of discernment when to pull out of every project. And even in the secular, everywhere, people have, human beings, their jobs you apply for, and you say, okay, sorry, I'm resigning from this job. So, so let the Holy Spirit guide you. Let the Holy Spirit guide you. And that's the simple answer. So the producer wants to do a sequel, fine, he can do 10 sequels if he wants to. If you feel it's not well, if you want to help him do it, fine, go ahead and do it. If not, the decision is yours. You are not under compulsion, and don't subject yourself to manipulation. Don't be subject to manipulation. And don't be too desperate. The most important is that whatever you do must give glory to God. James 3:17. So every gift that comes from God must first of all be peaceable, full of peace, full of love. It must have something that blesses his soul, blesses, and you have to really put it through the filter of the Holy Spirit and yourself, and see if you really want to be part of it. So that's what I can say on that. I don't know whether I've answered everything you were asking me. Or is there
yes, I think you did. The person that asked the question can give a response, whether the question is the response are satisfactory to you, or you still have some other caveat. As I understand, so there is a second question that I skipped deliberately because I wanted to make the second and the first and the third question from this same person. So if a movie if you shoot a movie with limited resources, but now you have more resources, and you want to do a remake, is it a good idea? Or should you just let it be and look for another script to shoot?
You can remake anything you want to remake. They did Lion King some time ago. They now turned it to animation. They now turned it. So you see, you can be creative about it. And you can do different sequels. You can blow the sequel. You can have it doesn't have to be the same thing. Because if it's the same thing, people might, you just have to consult wide for it, You just have to consult wide. You say you didn't have enough money at that time. Yeah, you can. If you have to do that, you can. Why not? Nothing stops you from doing it. But at the same time, you look, how relevant is that message? What is the key of that message? So that's what you're going to have to look at. And if you feel, hey, let's do like a summary of this and dovetail to another thing, that's fine. Yeah, that's it.
Wow, thank you very much, sir. So it's not a wrong idea if you believe that message has not been well passed in the first production, and now you want to remake the production. Thank you very, very much, sir. So I think I'm getting a note that Evangelist Shola Diaga is in the house. So if you are, you're welcome, sir. You can please, I want to be sure he's the one. I got a note from someone. So if he's the one, then we would like to spotlight him. I think it's by the name Olushola's iPhone. I'm not very sure, but if he's the one, then we can have him on mute and then answer maybe one or two questions. Well, it's been amazing. We've learned so much today in this workshop, and it's been almost an hour and 20 minutes. So we just have the last 10 minutes to go. And I want to believe we have answered the questions in the chat box, because we have someone who is saying, I have such experience this last Friday. I had the idea of the script, but when I got to my actors, they gave their opinions. And thank God I listened to them, which gave the praises and accolade we receive after the administration. Okay, this person is saying that he or she had a script, and then the person narrated it to the actors, and then they all had some suggestions to make it better, and then he or she was flexible enough, and then at the end of the day, the administration came out successfully. Yes, that is it. The Bible says the wisdom that is from above is first of all peaceful and easy to be entreated. It's easy to be entreated. Technical, please help me. Evangelist John Oguntuashe's video and sound has been disabled. Can you help us so that I can give us one final word before we leave? Evangelist John Oguntuashe, technical, kindly help us, please. I get a note that is being... Okay, so I think you can let me know, sir, if you can on your video now and you can unmute yourself.
Oh, yes, sir. It's working now.
All right. Evangelist Adiaga, I think you can now unmute yourself. You can on your video if it's convenient for you. All right. So thank you very, very much to our facilitators. It's been a wonderful day. We've learned so much from them. So I would just like to ask this question for directors. Do we have regulatory standards with regard to remuneration? Because the Bible says the laborer is worthy of his hire. So you've written a story, you are the professional, the Holy Spirit gave you the story, and then you went to invite a director whose work is to produce, even though it's Christian movie, but this is his job, this is his profession. This is how he feeds himself and his family and makes life easier. So are there principles in terms of remuneration to directors, or is just what comes to your mind you give to them? And so I would like any of our facilitators to answer this question. How do you handle remuneration in terms of reward or returns? You know what I'm talking about.
Let Baba answer.
Okay. It's important, right? It's important.
I'm trying to unmute myself. Well, if Shola, dear guys, let them talk. Let everybody talk. You see, because it's very fluid and very flexible. It's just very, very flexible. And, I will just say that because of where we are coming from in gospel drama, we have kind of shied away from it. We have been very humble about it, about remuneration, and we have always put it working for God and everything, which is very, very true and candid. But it is just it's not only for directors. It's not only for directors. It's for everybody. And we just have to trust God. True, the Bible says the laborer is worthy of his wages and everything. But the truth of the matter is, no matter what they give you, it's only God that brings the increase. I've seen where I've gone to set, done things for people, I've not collected anything. And at the end of the day, the Lord just opens a mighty door. You wonder, wow. So it's very difficult to place a formula. Whereas when you want to look at it logically, and you want to look at it the way it's supposed to be, you will wonder, why we've done this it should be equals to this. We brought this in, we brought camera times 4 times this is equal to this. We brought this this is equal to this. How come? It's not balancing now, So it has to be, we have to break the ice. Break the ice. Let's be fair to everybody. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of every other person. Let's be children of God indeed, with the fear of God. Let's be pure. Let's be peaceable. Let's be gentle. Let's be easy to be entreated. Let's be full of mercy and have good fruits without partiality, without hypocrisy. You understand what I'm saying? Because somebody did not charge you and say, I'm going to take this amount of money, just because he wants to maintain the sanctity of being pure, of being holy, of being in the good books of certain kind of people. I'm just being very real now. That doesn't mean you should take advantage of them.
Exactly.
And at one time or the other, we all might have made that mistake, crossed that line. But let's trust God and believe God that as we do this work, God will honor us and give us grace. There is no hard and fast rule anywhere in terms of directors and things like that, and it's all about dialogue, and it's all about relationship, and it's all about being sensitive. That is the truth of it.
That is that. If I may cut in, do you think this should be part of the preparation? Because you did mention that before film production, there should be pre-production, there should be preparation. So yes, the remuneration of not only the director, but also the cinematographers and the, let's say, over 300 persons. Okay, now that is the standard.
That I was saying. See, when you go to that level of using multiple crew, of course, these are the way it does. They sign contracts. You sign non-disclosures. You sign contracts. You are being paid. By the time you are going to that level of filmmaking, I told you in Hollywood, nobody does that kind of thing. Everybody gets paid, and they sign contracts, and they know when they're going to pay them and all that stuff. So it's always good to always discuss it very well and have pre-production, but it's just that in our own community, we have grown and we work like brothers and like sisters together with an unwritten understanding. But going forward, we just need to be more conscious about it and be more deliberate about it. You know, it might be a bit, challenging to do it haphazardly. Let's just be doing, but I mean, and also you should not allow that to stop the work.
Okay.
The work must keep going. That is the most important thing, because it is from the work that you get rewarded. It is from the work that God opens doors and do things. But as time goes on, a lot of structures will be put in place. We can grow and put in structures and have standards, and we know what will work. Each production outfit, each project knows what will work for you and apply it that way. And that the other party is happy about it,
Yes.
And we have this kind of things. You do somebody, they say, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You go out here, we complain with us. See, I went there. Hey, I didn't know that these people are like this. Yeah. So you see,
God bless you.
So you see, you that you are collected, just know that it's unto God, and don't be going around spreading things like that, so that you will really get the blessing for the job you are doing. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Let's have thank you very much, Jared. So it should be discussed. Let's have Evangelist Adiaga, if he's still available. Sir, what is your thought on remuneration? First, I want to say thank you to you, and I want to apologize that the whole thing came up the way it came up, and you have to even attend from work. So thank you very much, sir. So what do you think should be the remuneration procedure? I can see we have just a minute, but we'll just take everybody's thoughts and then off we go. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Well, just as my elder brother said, that we have to plan everything into whatever we want to do. And if you do not have the capability to take care of people appropriately, and if you don't have that capability, you don't have to go ahead. Or you just do it within your people, those that are around you, those that you can, that can understand with you that you don't have this, you don't have that. You can just do it with your own family and friends. You understand? But if you want to bring in people on your location, please ensure that you put yourself in their shoes. You understand? You put yourself in their shoes. You don't treat them anyhow because they are with you. You just lump them together in a place to sleep. You give them any kind of food. Even if you can tolerate that kind of thing yourself, don't treat people like that. Thank you.
Oh, so laconic and straight to the point. Thank you very much, Evangelist Adiaga. So
yes,
on a final note, I just want each of us to take like a minute and then we are done. Starting with Evangelist John Oguntuashe, what should be the key takeaway that you would like our participants to have as they leave this workshop when we talk about attaining excellence in film directing and cinematography? What do you think are your key points?
Yes, thank you, sir. What I think we should take away from whatever we are discussing right now in directing, we should all know now that film directing, of course, is beginning to come up. We are seeing it in some of the productions that we need to begin to tell a very believable and relatable story. It's key, and it's very funny that even in Hollywood they make fantasy stories, oblivion stories, things that we know that it doesn't exist, but they make you believe it. They put a love story within robot, within whatever, and people are believing it. And so we should learn now that telling a believable story, a relatable story, is key. And then we have to also engage. I've said that before. We need to engage our audience rightly so that they can, for instance, let's dive into things that probably we don't regularly dive into. Social issues. I pray. This power couple hit $1 billion yesterday. on YouTube. It was good of the story we told that people wanted to see that story and people were talking about it, but they said they carry it on their head. So I think it's very key that we tell the kind of story, engaging, believable, relatable story, and then tell African stories as Africans. If you're in Africa, tell African stories in any form, whether love, family, epic, whatever, so that people, those stories are stories that can travel. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Before we have Evangelist Shola Adiaga give us his closing remark, if you would like to subscribe to Evangelist Oguntoashe's YouTube channel, you can send a link in the chat box. I would like all of us to do that by the grace of God. He has over 109. He has about 109 videos there, so you can find him there to the glory of God. Over to you, sir, Evangelist Adiaga from the US.
Yes, I had some questions that were raised while I was still in transit. I heard about the cinematography aspect, the collaboration between cinematography and the director and all that. I want to chip in that cinematographer determines the lighting. I'm sorry I couldn't, it's because of the kind of miscommunication that happened.
All right.
Yes, things should have turned out better than this. But cinematographer determines the lighting on a set, not a lighting guy. The lighting guy supports, I'm just buttressing this point, that the lighting guy just carry out the vision of the cinematographer. The cinematographer determines the look of the job based on the communication received from the director. And they have to work just like what John Oguntoashe, my elder, has spoken, that the cinematographer and the director need to work together with other aspects of the production team, the art director, the makeup, and the rest of them, just like they have mentioned, they need to work together in synergy. And you tell your story based on what you want people to see, because there's something we call pacing in production. That's one of those things that Christian films lack. We like to drag our story. I know that I didn't listen to EJ when he was talking, but I believe he must have mentioned, because I know he was one of the advocates of not dragging your story anyhow, telling your story as punchy as possible. So you determine the pace, you determine the emotion, you determine where you want. I also appreciate what John Oguntoashe mentioned when he said that they should use camera to tell the story. That is very, very important. It's something that we have to put in mind whenever a director or cinematographer is working on any project. You know whether you want to do a drop-off, pick-up, and all that. I would have had time to explain all that to us so that we can put that in our stories. If we don't, because there are ways by which you deliberately write a particular part of your story in a way that we capture nice camera movement, nice technicality, that will make those who are technically inclined or those who love good technology to sit down to watch your story. If you can put all that in it from the first minute or second, that's why when you check Hollywood films, you will see that some of them, they try to do a kind of competition with that the first 1 minute, the first 2 minutes, the opening scene, the opening shot, they love to always make it as creative as possible. Lighting is very important. Your idea is very important. Your story is very important. The most important aspect of all this is your preparation. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Thank you so much. That's the only little time I have now based on the situation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very, very much. We really appreciate you. That's why the fact that the time is short, it's laconic, the message is well passed across. Thank you so very much. We appreciate you, sir. So on a final note, let's have Evangelist Evan Jarrett. And if you would like to subscribe to Evangelist Shola Adeaga's YouTube channel, I can see he has a lot of videos there, personal videos, preaching, teaching. You can find him. I've shared the link. And for Evangelist Elvon Jarrett, you can find Fog Media TV, FOG, Friend of God Media TV. You can also find him here. You have it in the chat box already. So God bless us. Over to you, sir. What is the key takeaway?
All right.
Well, we have said it all. As much as possible, let's do everything in the fear of God. Let's have wisdom. Let's always ask the Holy Spirit for wisdom at each point in time, because wisdom is profitable to direct. Wisdom is the key. It's the let's get understanding. And the more we upgrade and develop ourselves, and especially our work with God and with the Holy Spirit, it helps us to relate to each other effectively and make sure that we become what we preach and live what we preach, and make sure that we lead people to Christ in all we do, even in our lives as directors, and build ourselves into people. Keep building and keep getting a better team and expand the kingdom of God. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much, sir. On that note, we would like to draw the curtain. Thank you, everyone, for participating. I can see so many people who are here to the glory of God to participate in this workshop. Thank you so very, 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 very much to all our facilitators. And thank you to the technical for the amazing job that you've done today.